Okay, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for joining from all over the world, from Africa, from Nigeria, from the United Kingdom, from Singapore, from India. This is, like I said, a very diverse crowd, and we are going to make the best use of your 1 hour. Um, so right now, this is Joy, and my name is Tolu. I'm your host. I would be talking and hosting the program. What we typically do at our webinars, which we started last year, is to talk on subject matters that relate to motherhood and the journey of that. Sometimes how it cascades to business and how it, sorry, I'm saying that I need to admit someone. Apologies, I'll be doing this from time to time because my colleague that is meant to help is not available for one reason. So yeah, we're speaking about mainly the problem of postnatal depression and how several things cuts across, because postnatal depression is wide and its ripple effect is on businesses, it's on families, it's on healthcare system, is a lot, as with any mental health issues. Yeah. So this is our panelists today. I would introduce them in full in a minute. But again, the theme of what we're talking about is culture, care, and connection, and how it affects diverse women in the changing world. So I put the title in ChatGPT and I said to that GPT to just generate me an image of what that looks like. And this was what ChatGPT generated. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate with this picture of you being on your phone, cooking, having deadlines, schedule, the laptop is open, you're trying to maybe make sure your system doesn't go idle and all of that, a whole lot of things together. And you know how maybe you're working with cross-functional teams, maybe teams that are in other time zones, and you need to be able to check that your time zone is aligned. And this picture, even though the woman has a smile on her face, everything around her looks chaotic, right? And that's, to be honest, that's the world, that we live in, and that's how things are. But in and to get into the meat of it, a lot of times with people, when they ask you, are you okay? And one of the things that we typically say is, I'm fine. I'm fine because I don't want anyone to maybe ask me a lot of questions. And sometimes even in text message, you send me a text message and you say, how are you? And I just say, I'm okay, and I'm okay or I'm fine at the time that I'm sending you. I'm not probably fine, but that's because in my subconscious, I've been taught to be strong. I've been taught not to complain. I've been taught to say, okay, it's family first. I'm taught to say, okay, just just put it all together, be strong and no pressure, right? But the beautiful thing is that there's pressure, and the beautiful thing is that you're not the only one, right? It cascades across various cultures, various traditions, and all of that. And that's the primary thing, that we're going to be looking at now, because culture helps you to understand how to relate with people. If you understand how it's done in India, or how it's done in Singapore, or how it's done in UK, or how it's done in Nigeria, it would help you relate more. So that's what we are going to be talking more of. So again, these are things to help you see. It's not just about how they look. It's sometimes about the environment. It's about music. It's about how they dance. It's a lot more than that. And we're going to go more into that. This is me. There's no need to introduce myself because, hello, you all know me. And I think you should be tired of hearing my voice right now, but don't be, please. Um, this is Bavika. She's one of our speakers. I've known Bavika. I knew Bavika last year. I met her last year. Last year was very pivotal for us. Apologies again. I'll be doing this from time to time. Last year was very pivotal for us, and it was last year I met Bavika. Bavika is the founder and co-founder of HK Infosoft. She comes with 15 years experience in tech, web development, mobile application, Gen AI, and data analysis. She powers founders and business to choose the right tools, again, for your technology. I am an example of that. She's a proud mother of two children, two daughters, 12 and 9, and she actively balances, business and personal life and her personal pursuit. I know that recently she was part of the, is it 100 Women, the Voices, that a program that Goldman Sachs organized, and that was very pivotal. She believes in care, culture, and community, and how this can help to make a meaningful progress in everything. So please, with a virtual round of applause, just make welcome Viveka, and I would speak on Naomi. Um, Naomi, I met Naomi last year as well. And like I said, last year was very pivotal in our trip to Singapore. Naomi is a Singapore-based mental health practitioner, blah, blah, apologies, with extensive experience in supporting individuals across the lifespan, from young to older adults. Her work is grounded in the belief that, real life changes happens when organizations and communities cultivate compassion and psychological safety. Clinically, she specializes in childhood trauma, grief and loss, and perinatal mental health, with a particular focus on high stakes areas such as suicide intervention and trauma recovery. So she's a co-founder of Kindred Haven, and we are in partnership, and a social impact venture that is dedicated to supporting mental wellness from conception to early parenthood. Beyond her professional life, she's inspired by her toddler, who continuously reminds her of how to see the world with curiosity and openness. She values slowing down, unplugging from technology, and enjoying deep conversations, getting lost in a book, and reconnecting with nature. Please just make another round of applause virtually for Naomi, all the way from Singapore. Sorry, I forgot to say that Bhavika is joining us from India. So, like I said, it's a global platform that we have here. And my other friend, Ikanke Abu, is joining us from United Kingdom. I think I met her this year. I mean, actually, maybe face to face, but we've known each other. She's a Scotland-based entrepreneur with a professional background in architecture and, interior architecture, bringing a design-led customer-focused approach to the food and hospitality space. She's the founder of a home-based food business specializing in Nigerian-inspired cuisine, delivering culturally authentic dishes with uh, uh, presentation. Apologies. Her training in architecture has shaped a keen eye for detail, structure, and user experience. The skills she has is applied in her brand development and food presentation and end-to-end customer journey. She balances entrepreneurship with motherhood, and she has launched and continues to grow her food business with resilience, discipline, and purpose. She is very passionate about community engagement, creative storytelling, and building sustainable food ventures. And that serves diverse audiences. So again, with the same round of applause, please welcome Ikanke. Thank you. So I would stop sharing, and everyone that is just joining us, if you can, please let us know where you're joining us from. That would be very good. It would help us to, understand and get a sense of where we are, and where everyone is joining us from. So without much ado, I'll just go into, the questions so that it gives a perception of what we are doing. Again, the title, like you have seen, is Culture, Care, and Connection. Culture, Care, and Connection. And what we're doing is to make sure that we all understand culture and these from each other's perspective, so that in the future, when you're doing business with an Indian, or you're doing business with someone from Singapore, or you're doing business with someone from India, or you're doing business from United Kingdom, or even Nigeria, anywhere in Africa, you are able to understand their perspective, right? And going on from there. So I'll just start with a question, and I'll be starting with you, Naomi. So I mean, we're speaking about culture, so for you, if culture were a person at a party, what kind of guest, in your own perspective, would you think culture would be? Would you term your culture to be like a quiet observer, or a dancing floor queen, or a food boss, or what other thing would you categorize your culture, if it were a person at a party, to be?
So I just wanted to share where we're located. Some of you might not know where Singapore is. It's in Asia. And we love our food. If you come to Singapore, there's just a lot of different types of food here. And so if it was kind of like if my culture is at a party, it would be going to the buffet line and seeing what kind of food is there, and it's just maybe looking at the quality of the food. But I think I'm just speaking on behalf of myself. I'm generally not the life of the party. Probably someone that is hanging, trying to see who I can vibe with and hang out, probably standing at the corner and just absorbing everything and observing and trying to see what people are talking about, like just maybe eavesdropping a bit, like as I walk around the room and then just checking out people before I join into conversations. That would be me more so. I think, or Asian kind of culture, but yeah, I'm just more of an introvert. Yeah, that's me.
Okay. All right, thank you for sharing that. How about you, Ikanki? What would you, in your culture, I know I can relate maybe more with that, but in your culture, what would you categorize? Would it be a dancing queen, or what word would you use to categorize it?
So the average Nigerian would be the life of the party. They would be the loud one, making sure everyone is, involved and enjoying the party. They'll probably be the DJ. They would probably also be the MC. They'll definitely be the loud one, the extrovert. And yeah, food is also very important in our culture. So they would be sampling out dishes, trying out everything, and making sure everyone too is well fed. Yeah, so definitely the life of the party. There's never a dull moment with the Nigerian.
All right, thank you so much. Lastly, Bavika, how would you
Yeah,
categorize it?
yeah. In our culture, it's usually food. So all wants to a good and tasty food. So they usually eat spicy and oily food many
Hmm.
a times in party, and then have a traditional our traditional culture dance. So whenever they are excited and happy and enjoying, so they never forget the traditional dance. So in the women especially.
Oh, thank you. So I remember when growing up, I wanted to say when I was growing up because I'm still growing up. I remember growing up, we really loved Indian movies. And one thing we liked about Indian movies at the time was the song and the dance. Like, we could, even though we had maybe no clue what the songs were about, or what the songs meant, pardon me. But we love that, there'll be an interlude and there'll be songs. I know a lot of us as kids knew several songs. Like, I can still remember Amita Bashan, I think. We used to watch a lot of Bollywood movies at the
Yes.
time, and it was interesting. The dance, and maybe not the food because we didn't know, but the dance and the music was something that really got us interested and very fascinated at the time. So yeah, thank you for sharing. And like what you have said in this discussion, one thing that stands out that is common is food. You know how food makes a lot of difference from you, and again from your culture. Is there anyone, maybe like childhood snack or something that instantly puts you in a good mood? Like for me, uh, as thinking about it, I'm getting I'm getting hungry, but so please don't let me go there. So if you can share, and I'll start from Bavika, any food in particular that you remember from your childhood days that just puts you in a good mood and maybe is still around even till now? That would be good to know.
Yeah, sweet dish, jaggery. It's a gulab jamun or jaggery. Yeah, carrot. It's a carrot dish which is very sweet in taste. So whenever I eat sweets, sometimes chocolates. So it's like a traditional sweet dish which we make with the wheat and jaggery.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. How about you, Naomi?
We used to have this like little biscuit. It's an old school biscuit where it's just round shape, and then there is a bit of like sugaring icing on top that is very colorful. It could be like green, pink, whatever. Yeah, so it's a bit of a childhood kind of biscuit.
Oh, okay.
The other thing, a drink would be like what we call Milo.
Mm,
So how to spell is Milo. So Milo is like this. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like it has a chocolatey kind of taste. There's no coffee or caffeine inside, but we have them in like Milo vans where, when we have a sports event, a Milo van will come by and then there will be dispenser machines and people just love it. It's just a very nostalgic or it's just a drink that will bring quite a bit of comfort.
wow. Wow. How about you, Kanki?
Wow, there's so many. So I'm gonna take off from where Naomi stopped. So, I mean, back in Nigeria, we actually call it Milo, and
Yes.
that was the first thing that came to my mind, Choco Milo. So it's condensed into a cube, like a seasoning cube, and it was a great snack we would have after school. But there are so many. Puff Puff, which is like the fried donuts, is like a staple at any party. It's still right there. I don't think there was any Christmas without Chin Chin. So that's also another fried, more solid snack we would have. And yeah, there are a couple of biscuits that are cabin biscuits, very nostalgic. I've fed my kids that as well. I grew up on that too. And yeah, akara. So this is like a bean pudding that is fried. So many snacks that we have back home in Nigeria.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely can relate with that. And it's sorry, it's just amazing how global the world is. Like Naomi called it Milo, we call it Milo, and it's the same chocolate drink actually that we all knew. Imagine like is and I think not I think I know people still take it today. So it's something that has spanned on over what now maybe 50 years, and people that's been very relevant in the world. And again, it brings us to speaking about myths, right? There are several myths that people have there, especially with culture. So just breaking it down and putting perspective into it. There are myths that people have around, when you give birth, and your culture plays a big role into that. And it affects, like I said, the ripple effect is it cascades to your family, it cascades to your business or your work, it cascades to your health as well. So is there a myth like in your own culture that if you could put on a billboard, you would want to correct it so that people, not necessarily your own culture, people like from outside, okay, maybe Indians or Nigerians listening to you should know, right? So is there maybe one or two myths that you'd like to correct so that our audience would, get that and know maybe if that's one thing they even take out of today's webinar. If you can, maybe I'll start with Ikanke if you can help us. Yeah.
Yeah, so there are a couple of myths. I remember when I was pregnant, I was a member of a support group, and there were a lot of do's and don'ts from different. So Nigeria is very vast. There are different smaller ethnic groups, and different ethnic groups believe different things. So one of the myths, well, I don't know. I think most of the conversation is delving towards food. Food brings people together. But one of the myths was that if you ate okra, I'm sure okra is common to Asian and the Indian culture. So if you ate okra, your child was going to drool and drool non-stop. So do not eat okra or certain meals as a pregnant lady because that was going to affect the child. Um, but I mean, every child with teeth, and the teething and the discomfort would definitely cause the drooling. So a lot of women are restricted from eating certain things because they believe that those will affect the child. I also have a personal experience. So I love walking and I love being in parks and just touring cities. And I remember that I was pregnant with my first daughter, and the shortest route to get to the other end of the road was through a graveyard. And my husband would not let me go through the graveyard. And he was like, no way, we're going to go around it, which was going to take an extra 10 minutes. And I was so frustrated. And I said, no, we're going to go through it. So there's that belief, that, oh, pregnant women shouldn't move through graveyards because ghosts and the spirits of so yeah, I would, those are the first two that come to mind: food and certain activities. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Naomi, I'll ask you because you are a certified psychotherapist. Just I mean, you can, when we launch, we are working with Naomi's company to be able to provide that type of support that is needed. I'm putting that out there so that everyone can know. But Naomi, from your own perspective as a psychotherapist, like, and you can also draw inference from one of the myths that you have in your culture. How does psychology and culture come to play? Like, what's the how do they mix?
So maybe to help to answer the question like earlier on as well, like I think in my culture, as a woman, there are so many things to juggle with. And if we look at our parents' generation, usually when the children come into the picture,
Mm.
the woman has to decide whether or not work should continue. But in Singapore, it's changing quite a lot because of childcare support. There are actually subsidies for working mothers,
Mhm.
not working fathers, but working mothers, and we're encouraged to go back to work. So then there comes in that conflict of our identities as well, right? What we call like mom's guilt as a working mom, because when we're juggling work, we're thinking about our child. The mental load is a bit more different, I guess. So if I tie it back to psychology, I think when we view our own identities with different cultural lens, the way I view myself as a mom, what's a good enough mom? If I choose to just stay home and not work, what does it mean for me? Um, and I think just being able to make meaning out of my own identity, if I were to be the founder of this company, right? There are some things that I have to be working on, sacrificing family time. Does it still make me a good enough mom, right? Does my child like me for who I am because I'm working on something meaningful as well, right? So there's a lot of points of tension that makes up how we see ourselves, our identities that contribute to the way we kind of make meaning of our whole existential kind of like, I guess, meaning, right? So, a lot of my clients who I see, yeah, it's interesting that they start exploring about my purpose of life at a very young age as well, right? And it's really going back to how I see myself, how I place myself, in my family unit, and the way that I see work. Is work meaningful? Is it just a job? Is it a career? So just many different existential meanings, meaningful questions that surround ourselves. Yeah, so just share
Okay.
that.
Just to touch on that as well, again, maybe because of your background, I just wanted to know. So again, because we're speaking about myths, right? Why do people just, almost like they just come up with some things that just becomes like a myth. And I'll explain, maybe let me give an example, and if you can, from the psychology perspective. So I remember when I was growing up, I remember when I was younger, I'm still growing. So when you when you hiccup, there's the thread, like if I have, I mean, the thread from your cloth that they put on your head. And that's supposed to make you to stop hiccuping. Like I think maybe because I grew up with it, or when I was younger I saw it a lot. I just believed that it was it. And it never, and I think maybe our older generation will still believe that's it. And there are several other things. So I sometimes wonder, like, what creates the basis of culture? Like, why do people just come up with something? Like, now that Ikanke mentioned that when you're pregnant, don't go through don't go through a graveyard or something. Like, is there like a fundamental thing that brings it up, and then it becomes a myth and a stereotype that people typically follow?
Yeah, I think, I mean, like as humans, generally, we're geared towards trying to find meaning and like comfort and purpose, right? And so myths sometimes helps to reduce like anxiety because it offers something, right? It offers answers to unanswerable kind of questions as well, right? Like afterlife or like certain things. It is fueled whether by fears or what, but in a sense, it does offer some sense of comfort knowing how I should act, right?
Mhm.
There is a sense of like also giving us some form of moral guidance, right? It gives a bit of context for how we should behave, right?
Mhm.
How do we connect or fit into society? Like there are norms, right? And these norms are just shaped by who has uh, voices that are louder as well.
Mhm.
So the narrative is not just an individual narrative, but it's at a collectivist kind of level where we are trying to find our sense of belonging in a bigger group, right? Um, yeah, and I guess yeah, some of it could be fueled by a lot of fears, but yet we still remember them and we still kind of find ourselves trying to conform
Yeah.
to it still,
Mhm.
right? Because we believe, there must be a reason. There must be a reason why it still continues being passed down, right? Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you for that. So Bevika, maybe I'll move this to you. So, I mean, like, what do you think, or in your perspective, what myth would you like to demystify? Like, just say that no, it's not true, and a lot of things that maybe people believe about your culture. What
Yeah.
myth would you like to demystify?
Yeah. The myth is you should not keep the kids' cloth outside. So it's during night time. So you have to take and fold it. So it should not be like that. It should be overcome. It's just an anxiety which says take the old clothes and fold it and keep in the wardrobe.
Mm.
So that's so that you should not keep clothes outside. So this is the biggest myth I say. And another main myth is women's duty comes first. They think in every case is they think the people around you woman's duty come first, but the truth is a woman well-being comes first.
Mm. Mm. Thank you.
So
Oh,
thank
okay. That's critical. So if we have any, not jumping on any men, but again, it's just to let us all know that, is a balanced perspective to things. And, like we said, culture cascades in, even in the workplace, in family, in our relationship, because it provides an avenue for how people see us. And that's where care and connection comes with. When people understand, sometimes culture can be based on your faith. Sometimes it can be based upon, your upbringing and all of that. Sometimes it can be based up of where you were born, right? And so it just forms the basis of certain things, or it can even be based off of how your parents even did some certain things, like don't do X, don't do Y, and there are some things that you would want to be done with. So one of the things that I would speak about is culture in the workplace, and that's primarily because for me, speaking in context, where I grew up back home in Nigeria, in Africa, um, there's this culture of, just like, it's like inborn tenacity, inborn resilience. Like you would just need to give it a lot. Just give it, and that's how it cascades as well to kids, or to raising up children. And when you give birth, I remember one time when I have three kids, twins and one. And when I gave birth to the twin at the time, at that time of their growth life, we did not have a help. So in our culture, we typically have people that come to help. So, and there are domestic assistants that they would help you with several things, and they get paid for the service that they are providing to you. However, we didn't have that at the time, and my husband had gone to work, and I backed one of them. In my culture, again, we back kids on, we place the babies on the back. And in the West, they place them in front, but in my culture, they place them behind. So I placed one of them behind, and I placed one of them on my arm, and I was looking for one, So I'd walked out of the house, I'd come back, and like it didn't occur to me that I had the two of them with me and how stressed I was. But it was only when, what they call it, it was only when one of them made a sound that I realized that, oh, like I even had the two of them with me, and I was actually looking for one. But it wasn't normal to, just complain about it, because there's something that we say in my language, if I may. Was that's gone off my head, but it's just like, just get up together, just like, just be together. Like it's not, yeah, like
Strong.
just be strong, and just like
Snap out of it.
just snap out of it. Like, first of all, you're not the only one. And that's what has made it difficult for a lot of women in this perspective, and even men, to talk about it, because there's a myth about opening up and saying, I feel XYZ in this situation. I feel like maybe, and then it makes you to have a certain expectation of me. There's research that proves that people perceive blacks, that there's a tendency for them to hold on more. There's a research around it, and even a paper was published, and it increased some death rate in a certain place. I can't remember specifically now, but all those myths and all those things just create a culture of people understanding that, okay, because you're certain color, this is what is attributed to you, or because this is how your mom raised up, this is how. So I just said all of this to bring into perspective my next phase of questions. So if you were to tell your mom, or moms, maybe my mom in that generation, something, not being rude, I'm sure my kids will want to tell me some things because of our culture. Like, if you were to write like a text message to your mom to just help her understand how it's not how she, like, older versus younger, like, what would you say in that text message, Naomi?
What I would tell my mom probably would be, I guess, love. I would appreciate if she could communicate her love to me verbally. So in the Asian society, I'm not sure about Bavink, but like in Singapore, I think we call them the fruit cutting generation, where they will cut fruits for you, like, and then they'll just ask you to eat. But it's their offer and gesture of love to repair, So sometimes there are conflicts, arguments that happen, and then there is no apologies, No,
Mm.
no apologies, and
Mm.
it just blows over, and there's like a reset button. And I think the where we are in this current state of like, I guess, generation, we really would love to hear a bit more of like emotions put into words. Yeah, at the same time, it's conflictual because we know it's hard for our parents to do that.
Mm. Mm.
Um, so I guess there is repair work being done, and as I show love to my own toddler as well, I do it very differently. I may discipline her, but I still want her to know that I get it, right? I acknowledge her feelings. I still love her, and I still make sure that I communicate that to her. Yeah,
Mhm.
so that's for me.
Yeah, I can totally relate with you because I remember there was something that happened between my mom and and I was I was expecting an apology because right now I'm expecting an apology, but that's not how it wasn't that way, right? So I can relate with what you have just said, Naomi. How about you, Ikanke? Is there any, if you were going to send a text message, would it be a text message or an email or a lot of things all together? If you can share, that'll be good.
Incidentally, my mom is right here, so so, so she'll be listening. So yeah, Tulu, I mean, we're from a similar cultural background. Um, and it had earlier been said that a lot of cultural practices are also shaped by our faith. Um, so yes, I would tell my mom, and I really, Olumide is telling me to be guided.
Because your
I'll
mom
tread
is there.
carefully. I will tread carefully. So yeah, so my mom has been a very strong support. I mean, her being here is also like, more support to, to what I do. And she has, I mean, I'm a mother now, but she still mothers me and still mothers my kids. But what I would say to her, which I am entirely practicing now, is that it's okay to rest, to take a break. It's okay to let some things just, just be as they are. Um, I Totally had said it earlier, that sometimes we also have a way of, passing it on to our kids unconsciously. And they also grow up, thinking, oh, yeah, everything has to be fixed, everything has to be in order. I mean, it's your responsibility as a mom, as a woman, as a female to ensure that things are okay. But sometimes it's okay to take that pressure off you and and receive help, basically receive help. Or it's also okay to sometimes not be strong. And I know that sometimes this can, be conflicting with our faith and, self-motivation and wanting to be the best and all that. But I am learning that it's okay to take a break. It's okay to rest. It's okay to let things get bad if they have to get bad for my own safety, for my own health, for my own peace. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. You were guided. Thank you.
Yeah, I was guided.
How about you, Bavika?
Yeah.
What is it for you?
Okay, my mother supported me a lot because I was literally after my second childbirth, I was not okay by health. My HB goes down to 7, and I
Wow.
was unable to do my day-to-day routine also. So my mom has taken all the things. She was getting awake at night with the baby, and she was feeding my daughter with the supplements and all. And she says, your health is first. You just take rest and baby will grow. Don't worry about the baby. So she is a big support to me in my this all work and balance. And she came at my home during that time and stayed 15 days. And again, she take her me with at her home, and for the full rest, yoga, wellness, and this all. So you just come out from this situation and physical, and then again my HbN counts went well, and then I was okay. So it was a really a 1 month, 2 month I faced that critical situation. And about them at that time, she supported me for that to prioritize your mental health over social approval, because lots of people will keep on speaking and anything and blah 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 blah, but she prioritize the health first, and not listen to the others and all. And regarding the young and old generation, the thing with the face is the work life balance, because we all are comparing to them more active with the office works, and also that is the thing which we it happens sometimes. This is the prioritize the kids and we are prioritizing the laptops. So so these things happen, but it's okay. So kids are also learning from our experience, and they are more understanding and more mature.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. It's just amazing how, all these things, they are very common in generations and it passes through another generation. And, there are certain things that I say to my kids, and in my head is totally cool. Like, how is the coolest thing ever? And they're just looking at me like, like, mommy, please just have a seat. You're not cool like that. And also, it's just, it's just amazing how all these things, transcend time and all. Again, with regards, we're just touching on care. The other thing is connection. And with humans, it happens. You know how girls like, or ladies, like have a fellow girl that that they can speak to. And when you see someone that, speaks your, she is the word vibes like you, or speaks your language. And I think that's one of the things that made several of the people that made even yourselves here connect. And that's because we, let me use Gen Z language, we vibe on a certain pedestal, right? We vibe on that level, and so we can connect with regards to that. So, but again, with regards to connection, how do you see connection, or what makes you connect, taking into cognizance that your culture and the person's culture is different, but for connection, like Bavika, in your own instance, how do you connect with people? Is there an underlying factor that you look out for to be able to connect with people? How does that work for you?
Yeah, it's good to connect with the similar means the women who are facing the same situations and same also. We get the lots of benefits and advantages, what they have taken meals and what they change in the diet, whether they do meditation or the worship and all these things. So that is really impressive. And whenever we listen from them that we alone not suffering these things, so there are many who is balancing, so we can get many more ideas. So,
Yeah. Okay. How about you, Ikanke? What's the basis? Is there anything fundamental that you look at in connecting?
Um, yeah, so just like Bhavika said, the pain points, just connects people. People's needs, human needs are universal, quite honestly. They probably just change based on gender or like culture, as we're speaking about today. But yeah, and the thing is that when you're in those situations or circumstances, life has a way of, or God has also a way of bringing similar people around you, and so it's then our responsibility to connect, and that's how we're able to get help. I remember speaking from a mom's perspective now, when I just moved to Scotland and it was my first baby and I was not sure how I was going to cope. First of all, the ideologies are just slightly different from where I was raised. And so with my first baby, it felt like I was figuring it all alone. But along the line, with interaction and with my own what's the word? being intentional, yes. I could find similar moms, similar ladies experiencing the same things. And yeah, that's how we've been able to support one another. So pain points and needs create the connection.
All right, thank you for sharing that, and all of you as well. I don't know if Naomi, you wanted to add something to that.
I think in a one-to-one setting, what I'm looking for usually is I pick up on whether there is humility. And how I see that is really that offering of space to be able to listen. Um, so in the therapy setting, it's quite similar as well, right? We often see that when the counselors or therapists find themselves having to speak more than their clients, and something is wrong because you are so fast to want to offer your piece, you are so fast to want to offer your explanations, being in a very solution-focused society as well. So I think listening is actually a very because of attention as well these days, right? That is lacking. We don't listen as much as we should be. So when I'm in a one-to-one conversation, I'm really trying to get a sense of is this person interested in me, right? And how am I offering myself and my presence to the person as well? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That really adds, and I can just share my own experience. I think one of the things for me is faith, and just to touch on all that you have said as well. A lot of times experiences, like when we are, I mean, one of the reasons that got us to know each other, Naomi, is because we're working in the same space, and someone said, "Oh, I know someone that does something similar, and you're doing something similar." And then we found out that it was even more than that we had in common. And so, yeah, I totally agree that, the experiences that we have shapes the basis of connection. Some of them is for a time, some of them is for more than a time, maybe a lifetime. Some of them is in phases, but it's just important to be able to take that, and just like you said, humility, so that we do not maybe are proud about maybe something that someone has achieved, and in that way you lose a connection that can impact you for a long time. So it's important, to just know all of those things, right? And that's how we've just touched on culture and how care is involved, and the connection that makes it worthwhile for us. And that essentially this culture and this care and connection is not just for now, it's for the future. I remember something that happened in my workplace, and I feel like at the time, like you said, experiences sometimes is important, especially with the workplace balancing. So to anybody that is a manager here, is important for you to know that understanding people's culture would help you know how to give them support. Like understanding people's culture would help you to know how to be there for them. There's a saying that, people in the workplace, people remember two type of people that are very supportive, and those people that are not, they're just zilch. Like it's either when I get home, I'm talking to my husband about it, or he's talking to me about it. Like you always know that colleague that is not either there or is always there. Those two people, you hardly forget them, even when you do not work in those offices. So it's important as managers, that we take a bit more time to understand people from their perspective, because it helps you to have a mindset of their identity and offer that care that is needed at the time. So there are some questions here that I'll just read out before we round up, and everyone gives like a closing statement. So one of them is, so have you been caught between a cultural expectation when two cultural, let me just read it as it is. Have you been caught between two cultural expectations when it comes to your well-being, and how did you navigate it? Anybody can answer, to be honest.
Um,
Anyone? Any takers?
Yeah, culture expectation was means during my first kid, I should not go at my mother home. That was it was religious, and some my grandmother told me that she cannot be come at our home, but my mother-in-law says you go at their home, your home. So this was a cultural thing, and I was unable. So me and my husband decided what to do. So they are thinking about security of my life and health and religion. That oh, no one is coming at mother home for the rest, and why she is going. So I totally broke that barriers, and my husband supported me for that. And because mother-in-law is saying, yeah, oh, it's okay if you are comfortable more with your mom rather than mother-in-law, then stay with your mom. It's fine. So it helped me cure fast rather than at this place. So I get all help, support, health over there, and we break that religious and culture barriers, and we came out of that situation. And then it is well. So all are thinking that it was just a religious. So it's not compulsory to follow all the time.
Okay, got you. Does anyone else want to go ahead?
Yeah, maybe I can share a bit like from a personal experience. So my toddler is actually conceived through IVF, and so my husband and I has undiagnosed infertility. Basically, it means that we can't find out what is the issue, and we went through a very long journey, and then there was miscarriage and everything. So, being a mental health practitioner, I guess a part of me is like I don't mind sharing my experiences, and I think one of the thing about staying silent, it reinforces stigma in some ways, right? So in Singapore, it's very unheard of that people will talk about miscarriages or they struggle through infertility. So I did that, right? Like so I shared of course my social media is kind of like closed with it's not public, right? But it's amazing how then there was an outpouring of like direct messages from different people that I knew that resonated and were sharing their own experiences of struggles, right? But on the flip side, I also got actually comments from actually close enough friends who would say, "Why would you even share that?" Like it's so there's this cultural perception that you do not air your dirty laundry, and there comes with a sense of shame as well. Like this is not something that you should be sharing in the public space. And so I think what people are generally uncomfortable with is to be able to sit with that discomfort of like, I don't like that. And I wouldn't do that. But I'm still able to respect that you would like to do that, right? And what for? What is the intention, right? So I guess that just came to mind about doing something that's kind of against the grain of what people will think is acceptable or comfortable. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Ikake, do you want to say something to that, or are you good?
Yeah, so my own personal experience, you had earlier shared how, as this particular race we belong to, we're expected to be strong and, agile and very active and have the never give up spirit. And so I remember when I had my first daughter, that I was ready to go back. In fact, I was being encouraged to go back to work immediately. Like, you need to be working, you need to, don't just be a stay-at-home mom and and that's it. There should be some purpose and value you're, adding and fulfilling and all that. And along the line, it had a great impact on my health because I did not take time to enjoy my maternity leave. So it was very short because that was my thinking and my education at the time. Well, but with the next baby, I learned to slow down and debunk those myths that a woman must always, keep things together and forge ahead no matter what, no matter how she's feeling. And I have enjoyed 10 months of being at home, and just watching my kids, enjoy me and grow. And And so yes, it's really beautiful. And I know that not everybody has that opportunity and that privilege, especially with our race as well. But it's been one of the most liberating things that I have done.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. There's another question here from Sibika. No, don't let me say her name. So he said, I've heard that Indians and Nigerians have similarities as with regards to discipline and grooming of children. Please, Bevika, can you throw more light on that? So maybe I should share how it happens in Nigeria. So you probably say, so in Nigeria, I'm thinking about it. I invited my mom for this program, but she's not here, so I'm free to speak. So in Nigeria, we don't spare the rod, like I'm trying to make it mild again because this is recorded, right? We discipline, we discipline the kids when they misbehave or when they do certain things that are not expected that they should do. So we discipline, the mother can discipline, the fathers can discipline, but I mean, there's how much you should do the disciplining, but with regards to disciplining and grooming of children, telling them what should and should not be done, and issuing like punishment for it is like standard, right? Is standard that happens in Nigeria. So is that the same in India, or how is it done?
Yeah, actually, we treat our child from the childhood that you have to give gratitude and you have to respect your elders and don't speak in more louder voice to the elder persons and just take care of the small things which keep them feel respectful. So they respect the culture and the Gita, Bhagavad Gita. The naughtiest Krishna is the one of the character in that. It's a younger child, so it's our good and that all about the religious and all. So they learn from their stories, and as Krishna keeps active and playing with different games and also so their mischiefs, we keep them engaged with some activities, some learnings, and also so they are occupied with that. And in the meantime, when they get back, they have storytelling, especially in the evening and night time from grandmother or from the elders or from our life experience. So they learn like this and they get more disciplined. So this is the thing which we usually do in our Asian house.
Okay. All right. Just before it, just so for in Nigeria or in Africa where you come from, there's a tendency not to call people by their names. Like, for instance, I don't call you my mom's friend. I don't just call her name is Vicky. I'm just saying it on this call, but I can't call her Vicky. I call her Auntie Vicky. But in the West, I had to tell them, like, it's still strange to me when I hear my kids just call some people that are my mates their names. I'm like, no, it doesn't sit well in my ear. So is that do you call people by your name by their names even when they are older than you in India, your culture, Bhavika?
Yes, in India also we say them respectful. We don't call them with the name like tu and tame. Gujarati in Gujarati we speak so we give respect. It's
Okay.
our we don't use to them I. We don't use I all the time. You did it like that. We cannot say them. So it's respectful. Even sometimes someone in younger than you, then also we use the respectful words.
Okay. There's one question here, and I really like the question because I think it's important and gives a balance. And it's from Daniel. He says, appreciate your open and generous sharing. Thank you, everyone. From your experience as mothers, is there something you wish men had understood sooner about new mothers and are actually carrying and going through? Maybe things often go unspoken. So is there anything that you feel like the men, maybe we didn't tell them that they need to hear? So I can start from you, Naomi, please.
Well, I think we are biologically very wired very differently, like men and women. So I've been particularly interested in also, the mental health of fathers as well, right? It's also something quite unspoken, right? Like we talk a lot about postpartum depression for moms, but actually fathers also go through a lot, but in different form. So I guess in a way, mental load looks very different for the genders, right? And I would say what fathers could offer to their wives will be just knowing that we do more, like not because we really are fighting to do more, but it's really just because we're wired in feeling like, oh, we need to see, okay, what kind of books is appropriate for our children now, what kind of toys or what kind of nutrition, are the groceries enough? And there's just an endless kind of like list, right? And I think just being able to offer and being very proactive to recognize that the load on us can be taken off if you offer something to help us with, and just to ask very directly, okay, what do you need me to do? Can I help to plan the meals for tomorrow? Is there something else, right, that is on your mind? Can you just go and take a shower? So just very micro kind of like breaks that you could offer us to take care of ourselves, because we'll be very dismissive of our own needs as well. I think that's what I experienced in my own motherhood journey. But I just also want to offer to the fathers as well that I'm sure there are a lot that you struggle with as well, right? In terms of the identity and changes and transitions during this being a new fathers as well, that we kind of also don't recognize. Yeah.
Thank you for that. It's just, I mean, you said it all. Is I think open communication is something that is critical, that helps both mothers and fathers and even the workplace to get on through with understanding each other and being able to provide that support that is needed. And for the men, like Naomi has said, I don't know if Bavika or Ikanke wants to add something to it. Do you want to?
Yeah,
Yes.
I can.
Okay.
So sometimes I believe that men, not all men, but I mean there might be a section of men that believe that the women have had prior experience to being wives, to being mothers. We're winging it. we sometimes don't know what we're doing as well, right? So, but we put in the effort. We make it look like we've done this before 100 times. In the previous life, we've been moms, so we know what we're doing. So we're male and female. We are both on this journey. It's new to us. We're dealing with the emotions and the feelings and the stress together. It's new. We just somehow look like we know how to handle it better, but deep inside, we're as scared as you are. So sometimes I've experienced that new moms or mothers or wives face.
Yeah, okay. Bavika, do you want to add something to that before?
Yeah, yes, they also suffer with us sometimes because whenever, especially kids keep on crying at night. So that is the very terrific situation. So in that case, they are supporting and helping because they are also unable to sleep because of that cry and all. I don't know. But then about the health, same Naomi and Iken told the same thing. The micro things also matters. Yes, just you get 2 moments or 3 moments for yourself. Go and get fresh and have a happy and healthy meal and just relax. So that micro words and micro relax also is lots of things during that time. So that is only we balance with all.
Yeah, thank you so much. My husband said we really suffer.
Oh, that's your husband. Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, since we all suffer together, it's okay, but it's fine. I wanted to say something just to add to what Naomi said. I think what is critical is for people that don't feel supported or people that feel like, your wives are not being open. I think that question of what can I help you with makes all the difference. Like, it's when she now says nothing that you know, as with my gender, where we can be very, let me not say, but we can be like that sometimes. But just that open question of what can I help you with, or what is left to be done, makes a lot of difference. And it provides an avenue to, even if push comes to shove, you would say, but I asked you what I could help you with, and you were the one that just, let me not say it, but yeah. So again, asking that question of what we can help with, it would help. So I'm trying to round it up, and also mindful of Naomi's time. So I'll just go with Naomi so that you can use this to maybe like exit. And that's the last question. Say, how do you honor culture while still challenging norms that prevent you from seeking stuff? Like, how do you honor a culture that is there? So for instance, I can give an example just to help this. In my culture, I'm from the I'm from the Yoruba tribe in Nigeria, and when we greet, we prostrate. Like, I can't greet my parents standing up. That's not my culture. I greet my parents either kneeling down, or the male would prostrate. So again, I like that culture as a human being. I really like it. And to be honest, I'm making my children do it, because for me, I feel that is a culture that should be preserved. There's nothing, it doesn't degrade anybody, it doesn't make anybody feel less. It just highlights a culture that has been preserved for generations. So, I mean, from your own perspective, and I know that you have to leave, how do we honor culture while still challenging norms that exist today?
I think any form of that does take quite a bit of courage, right? Because you're protecting something, right? So you're preserving something that is important to you. And I think first of all, you must know what are the values you want to preserve, and how fiercely do you want to guard it and protect it and pass it down. And if you're certain about that, I think the line that you kind of walk in trying to get people to understand your intention and why you're doing it and why it seems weird to the person, I think some of this could be really made visible where you put it out in the open to share with people, and then people will be like, okay, that makes sense, and I can then make a choice on whether or not I want to respect that. So I think that would be my broad answer to that. But I guess I just wanted to express gratitude to Tolu for inviting me to this, because I think we only met once, but there is just this sense of connection, right? Like that, hey, it's pretty amazing, right? We live like I would never have met you, but we talked, spoke, and then we resonated, and then we're like, why don't we do something together? And I'm so glad I'm here sharing this space with everybody. And I thought something that I wanted to leave everyone with is just circling back to just now we touched on, right? Like about how what do we look out for in being able to connect with another being, right? Is that I often remember this in my therapy journey, where people may not remember what you say. They may not remember the content. You may join this webinar, and then after that you forget what we share. But people remember how you made them feel, right? Whether they felt heard, whether they felt seen, whether they felt just being able to feel safe enough. So leaving that with the crowd, that I think it's generally that connection that brings us human to human, that bridges all kind of like cultures as well. And I'm just thankful to be here sharing that space, and I hope to connect with you guys in other ways, whether it's on LinkedIn or whatever. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Naomi. Please, a virtual round of applause for Naomi.
Thank you. Our exit
first. Thank you so much. Thank you. So I'll just ask the question to Bavika and also Ikonke. So how do you honor culture while still balancing the challenging norms of what exists in our climate today? How do you still honor culture? Yeah.
yeah, for honoring the culture, we respect with the festivals and all. And sometimes we are balancing the things because we have office work, festivals, celebration. So we keep on inviting at our home during the festival holidays and get together, and the kids learn from the other kids, and so it's a family gatherings and festival. So it goes on and on in our culture, because one festival went, after the 1 or 2 months another festival comes. So they are very much close and attached to this culture, and they learn from that.
Yeah. So just before you leave that, there's something I've noticed with Asians and even Indians, especially here, that they are community driven. So I always think about it that they are community driven. You see them, I mean, with each other doing business, each other like living around the same area. So I always often wonder, like, is there something that they know before they leave? Maybe they leave India, and when they come to another country, everyone just like, it's almost like the memo. Everyone must do this. So I mean, you're an Indian. Is there something like that, or I'd like to know honestly.
Yes. We have many communities. Means we are very much attached with the residentials, neighbors where we live in. So we are attached with our own caste community, our heritage. So there lots of social functions are going on. So sometimes it's a complex which to attend and which to not. So because we need some privacy and our own self-care and time for that also. So they are more community driven. Indians are
Okay.
more, they want to be in a group and have a
This is
sympathize and can help and care each other. So even though when I'm not at home sometimes, so my neighbor care or my friend care upon, and there, so same when she goes outside, so their kid I care. So we balance like this.
wow. So because I often wonders, like, I often wondered rather, that is it something that is said back home, so that when they are in, maybe like in the UK or in Nigeria, they must be together. I always liked to know that, okay, no, maybe that's the norm. So now that you've mentioned how everyone is in your business and it's not a problem, I guess that's what it is. Ikanke, do you have something to add in your own perspective? How do you honor culture while still balancing the changing norms that are available or prevalent today?
So I drive it back to my faith. For me, if it aligns with my morals, my faith, my beliefs, then yes, I can uphold that part of culture. And it's very important to me that my daughter, my children see me show the example about the things that I want to preserve. Family is very important where we come from, and I'm not waiting to have 6, 7 children before I show one child, 2 children, a neighbor or somebody, from my community, that that family heritage has to be preserved, and bonding, and quality time. So I show that example. I practice it myself. I also do a lot of questioning. So um like with different experiences, so motherhood, in the workspace, and just generally social interaction. Just because it is practiced doesn't mean that I must also adopt it. Does it work with my own personal situation and conditions? Is it going to be beneficial? And so even when I have changed locations a couple of times, I still decide on which one follows me. But the balance as well is that I'm also learning to adopt other cultures, and not just being very stuck on to my own beliefs. So this is how it's done, and it must always be that way. So adapting to new cultures, new terrains, and learning the traditions of other places, because that's what makes you well-rounded. The world is we're global now, so yeah, so spreading my own culture to them and adopting theirs, and just creating that mix, that balance, that perfect healthy balance. Yeah. So
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Toru, Joy the App projects for creating this awareness and mental health. So it's a really my pleasure to contribute from my culture. And thank you so much for the invitation. And so it's a very open-minded discussion and to know the other countries, other regions, cultures.
Yeah.
And so thank you so much.
Thank you. Before I go, one last question that someone asked, that's my husband, said, what amazes me is how Nigerians and Indians are very good friends, but we hardly find them as a couple. Do you have anything to say to that, Bhavika?
Yeah, almost similar. So we welcome you if you want to be part of our community. So never mind. And there are lots of NRIs who are here, so you can be. So and we can, and this all. So.
Well, okay. So, Mr. Abikoye, they've said that, if you want to marry, I don't think you are the one. Anybody that you know that is looking to get married to an Indian, Bhavika has a lot of good community of people that, they can come. In fact, I want to come to India to come and see, and, they're very community driven. So please tell the person that you know, in case you are asking for someone, that, they're very open and willing. Oh, nice. You see, my friend's daughter is married to an Indian, you see. So now we see that it's more open than we thought and all. So thank you very much. I just want you guys to maybe help, ladies rather, with a closing word before we go. Just also before you say your closing word, just to let everyone know that very soon we are launching our long-awaited Joy app. So if you can give us a virtual clap, yeah, thank you so much. And we would invite you to the launch as well. And one of the things that we're doing for our next webinar, just to give you a teaser, is a very, very what's the word? Is a very, very unfiltered space. And is in line with the International Women's Day, and is talking about waiting. So if you know anyone that as a woman, you have waited for one thing or the other, like Naomi mentioned, so we are going to have a couple of people that would share their own story. Is a session of giving to gain, right? They're sharing their experience, like we said, experience, and sometimes is the pain that caused this connection, because people can relate with it and all of that. Just to give you a teaser of what we have that is coming up next. But before we leave, Bhavika and Nikanke, if you can please say your parting speech for the audience, for them to remember, please, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who wants to go?
Yeah, thank you all for joining this webinar, and thank you so much. So that's all, and I'm really great to be with you all. Yeah, it's an amazing experience, wonderful.
Thank you, Bhavika. Okay, Nikanke.
Thank you for I was really excited when I got the invite to speak and share from my own experience. And sharing this has caused me to be more compassionate, and to pause before I criticize, because culture shapes behaviors and actions. And I mean, with the mass migration happening across the world, it can be very difficult to maintain some patience and some human understanding. But this has caused some it's been enlightening, actually, to hear, especially from Naomi, that some things are not spoken of in Asia, and so you need to be patient if you meet someone from Singapore who will not share her struggles, and you don't need to force it. You give them time. And also just hearing from Bhavika that, the same way our children are raised in Nigeria is very similar to that expectation. So this has been enlightening for me, and I'm leaving here with a more patient attitude. So thank you very much for this platform.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us again. Like I said, one thing that I do is ask. And for me, I believe that my culture, I believe is ask. If you ask, the worst that you can hear is yes, no, no. And the best that you can hear is no, right? I mean, no, the other
Is a
way.
yes.
The best you can hear is yes, and the worst you can hear is no. So my ask for all of us on this platform is to please follow us on our social media handle. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and we're on LinkedIn. Same name, Joyed App, like that you can see, like my face. What you have there is Joyed App. So thank you very, very much for your time, Bavika, Ikanke, and Naomi, and everyone that sends in questions and suggestions, and all over the world. We're from Singapore, India, England, Scotland, Nigeria. Thank you so much for honoring this invitation. We would let you know momentarily or progressively how we go ahead, how we move on, and when the launch would happen. So excited for this space. Thank you for honoring the invitation again. Thanks. So, but before you go, I started with a song because again, it's culture that we're doing here. So I'll just play the song again. It's just a cultural song, but you can leave while the song is playing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Bye. Bye.